What's going on, everyone? Eric here. Hope you're all doing good today. Welcome back to Espresso for Beginners, the absolute basics. In this one, we're going to be talking about espresso ratios or espresso recipes, just different styles of espresso, different ways that you could make your espresso to make it taste different ways and hopefully help you get the most out of whatever coffee you're working with right now. Now, give me a second and give me that like, subscribe, maybe a little comment. That helps me out a lot. And if you're enjoying this series, just keep watching the videos in the playlist. There's more information there. All right, let's get into it. Now, if you watched my episode about the theory of dialing in, the theory of how to make espresso, how to find that spot on espresso when you're taking your grinder, you're taking your coffee, and you're taking your espresso machine, and you're trying to find out how to make that actual coffee taste good, right? We get that 1-to-2 ratio, about 18 grams of coffee into your portafilter, about 36 grams of liquid espresso into your cup, and we're extracting in time about 25 to 30 seconds from the first drop. That's what I call the most basic espresso recipe, and that is called Normale, right? That's a normal shot. That is what people refer to as Normale, that 1-to-2 ratio. Just in case you haven't done so yet, just know that you do want to be operating your espresso machine on a manual setting because we're going to be paying attention to time and weight when we're doing these things, so we don't want the machine to cut off on us. All right, so we've already learned the first one, Normale. That's the 1-to-2 to 1-to-2.5 rough range. I would say that is where, for most people in cafes, that is where they're pulling their shots, and that is where they kind of live, in that 1-to-2 to 1-to-2.5 ratio area. Another word you've probably heard, another ratio recipe word you've probably heard is Ristretto. A Ristretto is a basic 1-to-1 ratio. So if you were putting 18 grams into your basket, you're going to be shooting for 18 grams into your cup. All right, well, that's not a lot of liquid, but what you're going to get because of that is you're going to get a more concentrated, more heavy, more thick espresso viscosity flavor. It's going to be more bold. It's going to be more in your face. And if you're a texture head, if you love the texture, that kind of like very thick textural feeling, that coating your tongue, that kind of warm, pillowy feeling that comes with a lot of crema that you get from some dark roast coffees, then a Ristretto ratio might be for you. Now, it is intense, and it works better with some kind of medium dark to darker espressos. I would kind of stray more towards the medium dark because darker, very, very dark roasts, oily beans do tend to clog things up a little bit as far as your grinder and your coffee machine, unless you're meticulous. But anyway, so when you're looking at that bag of coffee that you're thinking about buying, and you see notes like baker's chocolate and cocoa and brown sugar, just things that you think of when you think of hot cocoa, just dark and warm and slightly bitter flavors, that might be a good coffee to experiment with a Ristretto shot on. All right, cool. In the spectrum, we have Ristretto, we have Normale, and then we have Lungo or Lungo, I'd say Lungo shot, okay? Which means long, right? It's a longer shot. So for these shots, you're looking for anything between a 1-to-3 to a 1-to-4 ratio. So we're going with more liquid. Same amount of coffee into the basket, more liquid out. So for example, if you had 18 grams in your portafilter of coffee, you're going to get 54 grams of liquid espresso into your cup. So a bit longer, that's a 1-to-3 ratio. You could even push it a little bit farther and go up to a 1-to-4, and I would still consider that in the Lungo range. And now this kind of ratio, this kind of flavor profile, you're getting a less thick espresso because there's more water. So you have the same amount of coffee in here, but you have more water going through it. So you're losing that kind of heavy body. But this is kind of a ratio that lends itself to lighter roasts for things that have tasting notes more like, you'll see things like cherry or apple or tangerine. Just think like fruits. When you see more fruits on those tasting notes, maybe okay to try a longer shot. What I want you to do is I want you to start off with that in that Normale range, right? That 1-to-2 ratio-ish. And you're gonna think to yourself like, hey, I wish this had a little bit more impact. And before we do anything else, we can just try running the shot a little bit shorter. Try running it closer to a Ristretto range. How is it? Does it improve it? Does it make it worse? Try running it a little bit longer and try running it in that Lungo range. Did that improve it? Did it make it taste better in a way to you? Because that's all that matters here is how it tastes to you, right? That's what we want to think. We don't really need a gospel of espresso. We don't need exact recipes, but we do need guidelines. And these guidelines will help you try different things and find the espresso that tastes right to you. Okay, now I'm gonna get a little bit deeper into the weeds now, all right? So we know from most tutorials that you run into, including my own, if we're talking about Normale, a lot of the time we're aiming for 18 grams in, 36 grams out, and the time frame we're aiming for is about 25 to 30 seconds from that first drop, that first visible drop. Bloop. Okay, start the timer. Great. So you might not believe it, but for Ristretto, we're gonna go even slower than your traditional Normale, your 1-to-2 ratio shot that I've been talking about, that 25 to 30 second window. We're gonna go finer, and we're gonna go maybe 1 or 2 clicks finer and see how that runs. And we're going to try to hit somewhere like a 25 to 30 second range as well, maybe closer to the 30-second range. So if you do like that more bold flavor, we can optimize it, get more of that texture, make it more of that textural feeling by going a bit finer on your grind and trying to hit somewhere around, between 25 and 30 seconds in that Ristretto range, that 1-to-1 range. So your shot, you're gonna look at it, it's not gonna be flowing at the same rate as it was when we dialed into that 1-to-2 ratio. It's gonna be drippy drops, it's gonna be going slow, it's gonna be a real thin stream. But if you're hitting that time, then you're gonna be able to taste it, and it's gonna be a little bit closer to that Ristretto ratio. Now, as usual, how it tastes to you, you can go a little bit coarser to make it go a little faster, open things up if it's too bold, a little bit finer to slow things down, make things more bold. But of course, you're gonna wanna play with it. But anyway, give it a shot. Do that 1-to-1 ratio, go things a little bit finer, and see how it tastes in that 25 to 30 second window. All right? It's gonna be a very textural experience, and you might notice why sometimes people in these very heavy duty, darker roast shots do add a little bit of sugar. But as far as the timing of a lungo, right? A long shot, that 1-to-3 to 1-to-4 ratio, depending on how it tastes to you. We're not gonna go for 25 seconds on that one. We're gonna do something kind of crazy here. We're gonna go a little bit coarser. Now this is especially useful for lighter roasts, especially if you got some boutique light roast, you want it to taste a little bit more like the tasting notes on the bag. You're gonna be wanting that 1-to-3 ratio, maybe if you want to even open it up more, up to 1-to-4, but you're gonna wanna hit that number, not in the 25 to 30 second range, but you wanna go a little bit coarser, maybe even 20 to 25 seconds. Sounds very fast. It's gonna go, whoo, it's gonna be a fast shot. But for lighter roasts, a lot of the time, that tastes really good. That tastes juicy. That tastes acidic in the right way. We're talking citrus, we're talking Granny Smith apple, we're talking real fun flavors. So if you're interested in trying out a Lungo shot, you're gonna wanna hit that 1-to-3 ratio. That's a good place to start. And you'll wanna hit that in 20 to 25 seconds. So go coarser, go 1 notch coarser, try it, go 2 notch coursers, try it, see how that tastes to you. And these will all taste completely different. In fact, if you're bored and you wanna try all these with the same coffee and see how much they taste differently, well, have a blast, have a ball, go for it, all right? Now, generally speaking, in the range of coffee flavors, the people may say that a longer shot time will give you something more like sour, and I would say that would be you're more like highlighting the acidity, and a shorter shot time will give you something a little bit more bitter, which I would say is highlighting the more kind of darker tannin-like flavors that you get from like a dark chocolate bar. So think about that range here, where we're gonna go longer shots, more acidity, shorter shots, a little bit more bitter. All right, but finding that sweet spot for that coffee, that's the fun in playing with it. And this is just another few tools, because I thought it might be useful if you have heard these things. You've heard Ristretto, Normale, you've heard Lungo, and then you can try these things out and see how they taste to you. But now you know what people are talking about, and now you have a couple more tools to play with once you find that, boop. All right, we figured out that Normale shot. How do I want it to taste? All right, I want it to taste a little bit more towards that traditional end. Let's go a little bit shorter and a little bit finer. I want it to taste a little bit more like that new age end. Well, let's go a little bit coarser and a little bit longer. Cool? I hope that was helpful to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you all, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.